In a current state of music tech, we have countless and easy accessible options to help us get better tone, dynamics, and pretty much every sound measurement possible. It goes hand in hand with us making and mixing tunes on headphones, laptops, cheap speakers, or in a somewhat professional studio environment. And that's where audio analyzers come into play. The basic form of analyzer which everyone has access to is Parametrics EQ Spectral. There are countless options to choose, from stock to advanced with more or less or unlimited bands to operate with. And that's actually where the problem and confusion lives. You may think that most of those weak peaks need to be tamed or removed. Once you audition them in solo and boost like crazy, it confirms your thoughts. And that's where you need to stop and revisit the basics of shaping the tone, but that's a topic for a different video. One key thing to keep an eye on is the tilt option inside your Spectrum analyzer. It's measured in dBs per octave. 0 dB tilt gives you a readout that you are probably most familiar with. A cool option to try in this case is 4.5 dB per octave. It reflects how human ear perceives frequencies, and as you can probably hear right now, higher frequencies are in fact more audible and louder. If you want more dedicated Spectrum analyzer, I highly suggest you to check out this free TDR Prism, which has all the necessary options plus some bells and whistles like analyzing multiple tracks inside your session and cool gradient colors. But basic Spectrum analyzers aren't considered as cheating yet, unlike their more specified versions. Now, that's a cheat code. An option to compare your track with reference, make all the tweaks, or even match master EQ to copy or steal the tone. Hate to break it to you, but it can do more harm than good. Most available tools out there will give you this magic readout, which is just a very slowed down frequency spectrum of an entire track. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it's good or even a great starting point, but people get tempted to follow the exact measurements and then wonder why their mixes have less bass in some areas and more high-end in some, and basically aren't cohesive in general. Don't be like them, use this analyzer instead. Yeah, it's a shameless plug, but our reference plugin approach to tonal matching and analyzing is totally different. You won't see any Spectrum comparisons here. Instead, there is this single thing called level line. It acts somewhat the same as Magic EQ, but it reacts to both your and reference track in real time. Once I choose to reference the different part of arrangement, the suggestion changes accordingly. It prevents me from making hard adjustments to the whole master, which can then result in unnecessary boosts or cuts in other parts of arrangement. By default, level line spikes means that you need to boost that area. Dips are obviously the opposite, but you can always change this behavior inside settings. Same goes for its responsiveness. If you still feel more confident with integrated and slowed down readout, try switching those settings. Reference is also capable of analyzing stereo field and dynamics, but I either like to use the separate tool or combine both for that. Levels is by far the most intuitive yet detailed dynamics, loudness and stereo field analyzer. We have a whole in-depth video about what each tab inside levels measures, but just as a quick reminder, you have two tabs to check loudness. The one you're most familiar with, LUFS, which shows perceived loudness, and no less important, loudness range. It measures statistical variation between the quietest and the loudest part of your song, like for example a difference between chorus or verse. Next is peak and dynamic range. First one is self-explanatory, and if the second one doesn't ring a bell, then once again I highly suggest you to get back to one of the latest videos we made. Some of those values can also be present in reference, so that's why I personally use stereo field the most. While switching tracks, I can easily compare their width, alongside with separate mid, side and mono listening with the use of the filter above. There is a chance you will want to analyze everything I mentioned above in one plugin, and that's where Expose comes into play. It's a standalone application which can analyze your mix, highlight critical points and suggest adjustments with a neat feedback tab. You will need to get back to your DAW to make some changes, but Expose allows you to save all the feedback notes inside the text file to your desktop. You can safely quote me on what I'm about to say, but every smart or cheating tool can be used for the sole purpose of it, but also as a learning tool. And then, once you get better and better, in this case in mixing, then you probably use some of those analyzers just like a double check that you did a great mix. Another great thing is that you can check all of those tools for free by visiting the link down below the like button. Till the next one.